Hey everybody, welcome back to Hope Speaks on the Shield of Hope channel. Today we're joined by Kevin Walker. How are you doing today, Kevin?
I'm good. I don't have corona, so.
You're becoming a very big fan favorite on the show. You know that.
No, have I?
Yeah, you got the highest. You
Thank you
got the
for
highest
having
view
me.
so far. Gianna might catch you because she's only like 20 behind. But
Well, I'm happy to be on. Thank you for having me.
so, Kevin, what are we gonna do today? By chance, you want to explain to the audience?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a film and video major at Penn State, and I'm just gaining like firsthand experience and looking to gain more knowledge on everything film and video that I possibly can. So something that I've done in the past before you and I started talking was I went through your whole Shields of Hope production channel and watched all of your short films, and I enjoyed many of them, and pretty much all of them. And so today we're going to watch Memory of Lies, which is your first short film, I believe, or at least the first that's on YouTube. And we're going to discuss filmmaking techniques and any questions that I might have about it.
Yeah, and it's the first film I ever did. You are correct on that. 2015, right out of Du Bois Business College. This was actually my final project for the college. I mean, it's weird though because like in high school, you know, and we of course we went to the same high school, Berwick. So we know. And I think did you take journalism classes at Berwick?
No, that was always a regret of mine, and which I would have been so much more prepared had I done that. Talking to Mrs. Christian senior year, she like I was close with her, and she even told me that she wished that I did it. I didn't realize until about senior year, like all the behind the scenes stuff. I was in there a couple times because I was on Bash TV a couple times for different things, sports and just different school things, and like that was where I actually saw how much went into the behind the scenes part of it, and like there was camera work and you know, editing, things like that being done. And I was like, gosh, like this is what I'm going to school for. I really wish that I would have gained some experience, because it seems like talking to everyone that's in my classes now or are the same age as me, like they have so much more experience than I do, and a lot of it's come from, you know, high school. But there are some people too that have gone in just like me, and everything's new to them. But yeah, I really wish that I did have that experience and did take journalism.
Well, it is a nice feature to have, and especially Berwick was one of those that had an updated studio. So we got the green screen, we got all the packages. But the thing is, the one thing I wish we would have did a little bit more then, and of course this is just looking back at it now, even though when I was 18 years old, I probably wouldn't have put a lot of effort into it anyway. But I would have said that I wish we put out more stuff than just news packages, you know, because this was actually my first ever, like, big thing that came out. You know, you had the short little, like, 2-minute news packages we had to throw together for Bash TV, but nothing to the extent of a short film. And that was kind of one of my regrets. So this is actually the first ever thing I really produced. So sit back as an audience, enjoy, and let it roll with us. My nice little emblem on the screen. This was actually a really fun scene to shoot with Chris Beauvais and Ryan McNamara. Both of them were friends from high school. And of course, this was, you know, it was a little bit rough to get the schedule because everybody at that point in time was going on different ways to college. Do you know the Beauvais at all?
No.
Okay, both of them great, and I think Chris is actually a photographer in Philadelphia right now, and he actually I love his work.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's things I wish I would have did differently with that scene with picking up the glass.
What would you have done differently?
Between the focus, I don't think I had enough focus on the glass there. I do like the quick action when they're moving and stuff like that through the living room right here, though. I mean, I do like the shaky cam. I know sometimes it doesn't add justice to it, but I think especially with the music that I found.
Were you in that hallway scene? Were you using a tripod, or was that just handheld?
No, that was handheld, and what we did was I actually moved it back in post. So when it's zooming out, it's actually like in post.
Okay.
And I also got told that that's not the correct way to give CPR either.
Yeah, I've actually had to take a couple CPR classes for school, and I was working at the YMCA. But oh my god, it's funny. I like that shaky cam though that you had in the first scene there. We're working on a film project right now, and we got to choose whether we wanted to be a documentary or fiction film now because of everything that's going on, because we have to shoot from home and pretty much use our phones and not like professional equipment. And we were supposed to have to do a documentary, like that was the whole point of the project, but she changed it and was lenient with us because of everything going on. So my friend and I were trying to like come up with these ideas and stuff that we can do outside of the classroom or outside of school and still make it be creative, because the partner that I'm working with is like 3 hours away from me, so it's not like we can meet up very easily. But we were talking about things to do with like shaky cam and stuff, because we're going to make almost like a mockumentary, which actually isn't allowed. So we have to figure out how to set up these shots and make them look good, using like the at-home tripods and stuff that we have, and just like the basic film equipment that we have at home. So it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, some of the most creative things come out of the non-creative situations too. You know, you put. Yeah. Sometimes you got, you know, it's like a card game. You're kind of dealt with what you got, especially in the filmmaking world. I mean, we don't, as an independent filmmaker, you know, it's not like we're paying any of these actors and stuff like that. Now, I've been blessed to have great actors on set, and I've loved working with every single one of them, and all of them have been very good at their craft for, you know, just want to be, you know, in the situation and, you know, volunteering. So, but like there are some times that we are going to encounter things in life that just, you know, aren't perfect situations. And I know you're not going to, as the worst part being a director, I think, is, you know, getting the shot, but not, you know, it looks different in your head than the final product, because sometimes you just don't have the clarity and you can't get the same angle and the same perfect setup that you want. Yeah. And that's something that I've learned along the way. And that's why I don't do too many retakes. Of course, the reason why I don't do too many retakes is the simple fact that, you know, there's so many things going on, and you got to make sure the actors say the lines right in that take, and then you got to, you know, give them creative balances. But I mean, you also get better with the more you do, you know. So you get everything set up to where you want it, and you say, well, this is not necessarily good enough, but I'm not really a perfectionist either, you know. And there are flaws in films, and it's the audience's job to find them. So this was Scott Winters and Jack Dietrich's first debut in a film. I've worked with Scott a lot, of course. He was in Fight for Me. He was also in Agendas as a pastor, which he actually is a pastor, so that, you know, that kind of fits. Yeah. See, I try to cast roles for people that they've actually played before, you know.
Release me. Can't do that.
Why is that?
Heath Stern graduated from Harvard with a bachelor's degree in poli-sci, practical law. Impressive. High school football state champion in '89. Cover boy of Forbes magazine. Multi-millionaire at age 23. And yet, just like a typical human being, you continue to throw your life away. Why is that?
Excuse me?
What happened at noon 3 days ago?
3 days ago.
To AJ Williams, real quick, very big shout out. I loved it, even though his character is supposed to play like a 26-year-old, and he's not 26, obviously. But that's one of the unfortunate falters in filmmaking when you need volunteers and stuff like that, is you can't cast necessarily the right ages, but you know, especially as a first film you ever put out, you're not really thinking too much about that. But no, actually. This is the first interrogation scene, I want to call it, when the detective's like on his trail.
Yeah, no, but like how old was he in this when you filmed?
Oh,
he was supposed
16.
To be 26, you said?
He was 16.
Oh, 16. All right.
He was supposed to be 26. He's 16 now. And actually, the news anchor coming up is Megan Unger. She graduated with me.
Oh, okay.
And that's actually her house too, so that's very nice. They were very nice enough to let us use their house.
Was this all done through Premiere too?
Oh, this was all done through Premiere.
Okay.
And I'll have to show you some quick tips and stuff like that when you come over next time.
Yeah, oh my gosh, since the start of the semester, trying to figure that out and learn about it. There's so much that goes into it, and just when you find like one thing out and you're like, oh, It was going to look awesome. It was going to look amazing. There's like 1,000 other things that you could possibly do as well. It's insane.
And actually, when they do the quick shot of when they first turn on the TV and turn off the TV, you know how like it's on a screen. Actually, that's not actually TV there. We photoshopped that into it.
Oh, all right.
But,
That's awesome.
So yeah, again, this is actually at Wilkes University. I forgot to mention that. So this whole thing is not actually shot at a hospital. It is just at a school where they have a nursing clinical.
Okay.
Which, again, people, this is why you use your resources for what you may have.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Because it's all.
And I'm assuming you had to get permission for that.
Yeah, but you know what? Mostly, and again, unless it's a big giant corporation, you know, and a college seems like it. But I mean, honestly, if you just ask the head of like the nursing department or whatever, and their college is open, they normally don't even care. You know, because you don't really go straight to like the board or anything like that. But when you go film in like say a store or anything else like that, you know, especially if it's privately owned, excuse me, they do give you a little bit more grievance or, you know, complaints. So.
On me?
No, it's a client. I'm sorry. I can't screw around with other girls, but you can screw around with my money and try to bankrupt me?
I don't know what
You know exactly what I mean. I heard you on the phone.
I don't.
Don't act dumb!
Also, how did you do the choking scene there? When the way that she gets lifted up, I mean, I'm guessing that's a trick with the camera.
No, what we ended up doing was we actually ended up we had like a stool underneath her, so we had her like bending down with the choke, and then she just like stood straight up.
Oh, all right.
So she was actually being lifted like the hand going up, but you know she was on a stool and just stood.
That's clever. That's clever.
And of course, right here he throws the actually, if you pay real close attention, that's actually a Hollister cologne bottle. So he throws the Hollister cologne bottle and it smashes into cut up pieces of Canadian Dry ginger ale. Actually, Canadian Dry ginger ale actually shows up a lot in my films. It was actually in the Wolverine bar scene I had to do at one point too. So give them a big shout out. I love their products.
Yeah. The ginger ale was good.
I mean, looking back, I mean, I don't know. It's weird for me to watch this because I haven't watched this in probably a few years.
Really?
And it's weird how far I can see myself going from here to Agendas or A Mile Apart and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean it's progression.
No,
of course, we'd have to talk about.
I mean, I think this is good for a starting film. Like, this is really good.
Yeah, I don't know, but you're gonna experience this, so maybe it's just me, but I know Johnny Depp's at least on my corner with this. Johnny Depp doesn't watch his own films that he makes.
Oh,
He's never seen Pirates of the Caribbean, and he's never seen The Lone Ranger or like any of those films. I don't even know if he even saw the Harry Potter one in the spinoff he was in, which was actually a pretty good movie for somebody that like me that didn't like Harry Potter. But
Yeah.
I will say, I do not like going back and watching my own films all the time, mostly because like you watch it so many times editing it.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know as a filmmaker the mistakes,
Yeah.
and you know it just sticks out to you more than anything else. Like everybody keeps
I
telling.
feel like over time, when you make something, like you just see things that you wish you could change or do something better, and that always haunts you too. I mean, at least with the few things that I have done, I've definitely thought about that, and like I've been working. My friends and I, we took GoPros on our cabin trip last year, and we filmed like pretty much the whole entire week that we were there. And you know, I told my friends, I was like, oh, I'll make us a video, you know, like end of the week kind of thing. And then little did I know that we filmed like 170 videos, and it was hours and hours and hours worth of footage. I'm still sorting through it to this day, and trying to edit it all together, because I'm trying to make like an actual film for us. Not that anybody's going to see, but just one that's like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, kind of best of moments, and like all the funniest things that have happened along the way. And oh my gosh, trying to do that through Premiere, it's so long, and there's so much to do, but you know, I didn't want this year to show them it finally. Like I'll have it done hopefully by the summer. I was supposed to actually have it done by this weekend, but that didn't happen. I just didn't want to rush it because I knew that looking back on it, then I'd think that I could have did this better or could have done something else. I'm trying to make it like as professional looking as possible, just as practice almost. It's a fun practice because videos of me and my friends and I. So yeah, but I don't want to rush it.
Well, my biggest thing is, my advice to any wannabe filmmaker is continue to pick up a camera. I don't even care if you do photography, and you're not even moving videos. The more you understand shots and angles, because that's the most important thing about filmmaking. And of course, lighting too. Yes, sometimes I take lighting for granted because I like the natural light and the shadows and stuff like that. People like to make it crisp and clear for Hollywood films. I like the shadows there because that looks a little bit more realistic in my opinion, but that's besides the point. That's just nitpicky. That's like JJ and his lens flares. You got to have it. But I mean,
especially like I'm watching the scene right now where you're arresting Jake Wolf's character, and I mean the lighting in there, like all the different shots that you have and how it flashes back and forth. Like I can't even imagine. We learned about 3-point lighting a little while ago, having to continuously set that. I mean, I know that professional films do that, but you have 100 people in a film crew there helping you transfer things and set everything up as well. I mean, if it's just you and a couple people though, like having to set that up within every single shot and making sure that the lighting is great everywhere, it's got to be so hard. And that's not like flare or like glaring on the camera, or it's not showing like a reflection somewhere else of a shadow of someone. It amazes me, and until I'm within this major now, you don't realize how much work goes into these productions and films, all behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, lighting is a big thing. Again, I'm more the person that again likes the natural lights. Now, obviously, if a room needs light because you can't see the actor's face, you need a light. But again, like you said, the people the grippers of the world and the lighting and the artists that have to like figure out the makeup and where everything goes and where it shouldn't shine and stuff like that, the lights, I give them a lot of credit in the Hollywood industry. But yeah, in that scene, I don't even think we set up any lights in any of that hospital. I think that was all natural, if I stand corrected. I mean, I know the room is lit enough because it has some nice LED lights and stuff like that already in the ceiling. But
yeah, no, it's still very impressive nonetheless. I mean, I still like it. It's not like you can't see what's going on. You can see everything very clear, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I do give a lot of credit to my Panasonic cameras. I love how they deal with lighting situations. I'm a big Panasonic fan.
Yeah. Is that what camera you used here?
Yeah, in this one, because I was actually borrowing the college's camera at that point in time, and they still had Panasonics, but they were the GH3s, and I have the G7s now, which it's almost the same series. They just changed a lot of different buttons. It's like the Apple phones. They just changed the little things, and it's like, oh look, it's a brand new phone. Everybody goes out and buys it. But I mean, I did like it, and I guess they did a lot better with stabilizer on the G7s that I have, so like it doesn't look nearly as shaky if it is shaky. But I mean, it shoots in 4K as well. So the only film I've shot in 4K so far is A Mile Apart.
Okay.
Which Gianna, if you go back and listen to the episode prior, she'll talk a lot about that.
Oh yeah, she was in that. Yeah, yep.
I still love the Out of a Mile Apart. I understand where all memory lies, but Out of a Mile Apart, I absolutely love the car scene that we talked about.
When they're fighting?
When they're fighting in the car, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought that one, honestly, I thought has some of the strongest acting in that. I really liked that.
Yeah, but it didn't it didn't go well on YouTube so far. Like, it only has like 300 views. I expected that to like take off a little bit more than it did. I don't know.
Which one of your films has the most views?
Oh, Agendas by far. Agendas has
okay.
Agendas has the most for a film. The weird part is the Memory of Lies trailer has taken off because Agendas is at 2,000 views right now, and the Memory of Lies trailer is like 2,200.
Oh my god!
I don't know how, because that's the first film I ever uploaded too. So it was weird to see that. And then just go to the memorialized film, only has like 700. So I mean, it's not bad, but it's not the 2000. So obviously people saw the trailer and didn't want to go watch the movie. So that's bad. That's bad marketing on my part, apparently.
Still views though.
Yeah, I mean, and what can you expect? Like and what I'm so grateful for you guys when you guys share these podcasts and stuff like that is because like I'm sitting back here and like for 2000 that's great because I only got 100 subscribers.
Yeah, no.
And you and G.
Awesome, yeah, congrats on that. I saw.
Thank you.
You said that in what was it? The Hope Speaks. What will I be watching? Thing. Didn't you say something about finally reaching 100?
Well, thank you. Yeah. That was it's an accomplishment, and I'm hoping for 1,000. The next goal is 1,000. I mean, everybody's like the next YouTube goal is like 500. I'm like I want to go for 1,000 here, so I'm trying hard to do that. But you know what? The more good quality content you put out, the more it's gonna come. I will say this about the Memory Lies film, though. Do you think my professor loved it or hated it?
I'm gonna say, well, I loved it, so I'm gonna say that he hated it.
You are correct.
Why? Can I ask why?
Well, because a lot of him he liked the theme idea of films. Like what themes represent or whatever. And what I told him was I did this film and I was like, there's big numbers or there's like more numbers out there like the 3s, the 7s, the 11s, these lucky unlucky type numbers. And I said what I did was each character represents a different like evil, okay? And it shows that no wrongs make any rights.
Yeah.
You got the greed character, which is the Rebecca Arrow's character, the partner, and then you have the AJ's character himself being the selfish person, and then you have Jake Wolf's character being like the anger.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's different, and it's showing that nothing makes it right. Because how the old saying is 2 wrongs make a right, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to show like and everybody ends up in a bad situation. Not only does everybody end up, not everybody. Jake doesn't end up dead in this film, obviously, but they all end up getting what they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a justice injustice type thing, but it shows you that it doesn't, and that's why I explained to the teacher, and he absolutely did not like that.
Was that before you made it or after you explained it?
That was after. What we had to do the process was we had to watch the film, and then we had to explain it, and then he would tell us what he thought.
Oh, jeez.
So I mean,
so how did you end up doing on it? Could I ask really what grade you got for that?
I got a 90 for that, which still isn't bad. Actually, my biggest beef though is at Bloomsburg University because I showed my Fight for Me film. And because I was working on it simultaneously to like my final project for the semester, so I put like the knockout scene in Fight for Me, and like I re-edited it a little bit for like when the camera pans up, and so I did the ending shot, but like it was somewhere in the middle with the flashbacks and stuff like that. Now I don't know what you thought of Fight for Me, but all these other kids are turning this stuff like these handheld iPhone type footage that you can't barely even see people's faces.
Yeah.
He gave me an 80.
On Fight for Me.
On Fight for Me. I was upset.
Yeah,
that is my only beef. I was like, listen, I would hate to see what the other kids got because they should have failed then.
Yeah, no, for real. Because I mean, I have this thing where like if I get an 80, usually I'm happy because I mean I passed. Like I'm okay with passing. But if I know that I worked really hard on something and I didn't get the grade that I deserved, and it was passed, but it was lower than it should have been, I get mad about that. There was one, which I mean, this is off topic, but I'll say it real quick. There's a speech I had to give for public speaking last year, my freshman year of college, and I was nervous standing up in front of 30 people all the time, but we had to give a persuasive speech, and I did like one on political correctness, and I was just really, really nervous about it because I didn't want to offend anyone, and I made sure that it was like the best that it possibly could have been, the most like sincere, nicest, that it wasn't going to offend anyone. And I read it. I can't even tell you how many times I read it in my house. I read it to my parents, read it to my friends over and over again. I got like an 84 on it. It was like I was so bummed out about that. And like people are like, why are you mad? Like you passed. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I worked really, really hard on that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't even imagine how much work went into this.
Mm-hmm.
How long did this take you to make? Fight for Me.
We started around Easter, and then we ended in October, or was it September? Because I think we debuted in October, so it would have been September. And I think up until the final week, I was still editing it until it debuted too, because you're always tweaking things. You always look back and you're like, oh, I need a sound effect here, a sound effect there.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, we didn't shoot sporadic. Like we probably only had about 10 to 11 film days, though. So it's not bad. It just took that long to get everybody back together and.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know how it is.
My beard changed throughout the whole film because that's how. That's how it goes.
I guess I never noticed that.
Well, it's no different than, well, actually the most, and this is hopefully Max Jones isn't going to get upset when I say this, but when we shot Agendas, and I know he was into his modeling career then. I don't know how much he does now with it, but I know.
I talk to him like once a week because I'm actually on his program. Shout out Max Jones.
There you go.
But yeah, he's doing really well.
But I know he was leaving for Pittsburgh to go out and model the one weekend. But we were filming everything that we shot in Agendas was like within a week it was shot.
Yeah.
So we just sat down and we're like, okay, we need to shoot this 1 week and get everything done. But halfway through the week, he gets a haircut. We're like, really? Like me and Jimmy both looked at him like, really? He's like, oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, come on, it was. How do you not think about continuity?
Yeah.
So that's a little quick bit, and that's a throwback.
Actually, though, like watching these though, I mean, as a film major, I feel like I should have more of a keen eye on certain things. Especially, I feel so dumb coming out of some of these big movies that like I should know what's going on, and that I have to watch like analysis videos afterwards because I didn't like fully understand it. And then there are people that I go to school with that like understand everything in one viewing and don't have to watch it over and over again. So things like the continuity and what you're talking about with Max here, like I didn't notice that watching it first time, but like I'm skimming through it now, trying to find like, is there a part where like
see that's where editing magic comes in, because he got his haircut before we shot the opening scene.
Okay.
So we shot the opening scene, and because that was actually the last scene we shot at the block plant where he's going to take down Ronnie Berta's character.
Yeah.
And that was what happens is if you look real closely, I cropped the top of his head off a little bit in some shots. And then he also got like a beard shave, so there's some shots where I like cropped a little bit of like the chin off so you couldn't tell necessarily.
Yeah.
But like that, that's things you have to do, because I'm like I looked at it in the full picture and I was like, man, I can't, one shot he has his beard, one shot he doesn't, one shot he has longer hair, one shot he has shorter hair. So, but the good thing about the whole film that it happened, the good thing is it happened on the opening scene, because you can't tell how much time took place from the opening scene to the other ones. But like it was all supposed to take place in a week. And actually, fun fact, we are starting to settle down and start the Agendas 2 process.
Oh, really?
So that is going to be something that might hopefully break the internet again.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I'm not going to spoil it
Do you
over.
have like a script or anything in place?
I have a lot of ideas, and a lot of them have made it to paper so far, but I'm trying to figure out, and I don't want to spoil anything for the viewers out there, but...
Yeah, no. You don't have to say that. I was just wondering if there's a script in place.
Well, you'll be one of the first ones to read it when it gets done.
All right.
But I know I'm gonna sit.
I definitely enjoyed this one.
I know I'm gonna sit down with Jimmy LeGrand, and he has some buddies that want to be involved too. So he sent me some like headshots of some of the people that want to be in it. And I'll tell you what, we can make a good action film.
Yeah, no. I mean, you guys are all, everyone you have in here is like jacked, so.
And of
course, pretty cool.
And of course, my main goal is to get Jack Dietrich back, because if I can't get Jack Dietrich back, I'm gonna be very upset. I think he's
like the Berwick Expendables.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Actually, I heard they're making Expendables 4 coming up, so I'm kind of.
I did, yeah. I heard I think there's a script out, and Sylvester Stallone's trying to get people together.
If that man could, if I was God and granted somebody an everlasting life, I would grant Stallone an everlasting life because
Yeah.
he makes some great films.
Yes.
And the thing is,
I binge watched like all the Rocky movies. It was great.
he just doesn't care either. Like, he just like, you know what, this might not make any sense, but dang it has action, we're blowing things up. It's like Michael Bay on steroids.
Yep. Wait, quick question though. I do have to ask. I'm like just skimming through this agendas here. I'm sure it's through like the effects part of Premiere, but the part like which I forgot to ask before, with like the things coming off their watches, like the missions and stuff like that. How did you do that? It was through Premiere.
That was actually that was through After Effects, and that was Anthony Cunjero. I would send the footage off to him, and he actually, because he knows a lot more about After Effects than anything else. He actually did he did a great job in my second Memory of Lies film, Visions of Truth, with the
fire.
The fire. He did all that.
And you interviewed him, right? Didn't you?
Yep.
I feel like
Yep. I interviewed him then afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a girl that's in my film video class, and when we were showing our second mini project that we had to do, she got this like iPhone effect thing on, or like in Premiere or effects, whatever. And when like she had her story was these like two people texting each other, and she'd have the phone, but then like the texts would pop up on screen like they're coming right off the phone, and I was like, that is so cool. Like I don't even know how you would do that. It's kind of just like how you have it with the watches there. I think that is like the coolest thing.
Sometimes you can tell though with the watches, you can kind of see like the number, like the time underneath it.
Yeah,
so,
but I mean, still like for these, these beginning films and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to say you're a beginner because obviously you have much more experience, but I mean, like, these films where you are just starting out and things like that, like all this stuff is just so cool, and I have questions on it, and I wouldn't know how to do it, and I feel like I'm a beginner as well.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. The second agendas, we're gonna go above and beyond. We have the. You're gonna spoiler. Well, it's not really a spoiler. This is something for people that are into agendas, that it's gonna understand something. We're going to see the full capability of what the watches do in the second agendas.
Okay, that's cool.
And if you think that's good, like that they have watches and stuff like that, just wait till you see the thing that the ultimate villain has.
I can't wait. That's awesome.
So we're looking forward to that.
Another question too. How, if you don't mind me asking?
No, go ahead.
How much do you usually have as a budget for all these films? Like, if you don't mind me asking too, like, what's the most you've ever spent on making one?
The most I've ever spent was Fight for Me, and that was mostly because I bought 2 pairs of boxing gloves. I bought the extension cords. I bought the background sheets, with the black sheets for one side to go parallel with the green screen.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't got to pay for any locations because Leo Talenka was grateful enough to let us use the boxing ring. But I think that one came out to about $400 between gas and everything else like that. So.
All right.
I mean, I try, and again, I'm not going to break the bank with a film because as a filmmaker, I understand what resources I have.
Yeah.
And that's like, of course, before I even came up with the boxing film, I talked to Leo and I was like, I would love to do a boxing film. And he's like, well, it's open whenever you want. So if I can't really get permission to do a film at a certain area, I just won't do the film.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm at right now, because I just can't financially support it until. And we're hoping to get merchandise coming up here for Shield of Hope in the next few months. So
I'll definitely be one of your buyers.
Nice. Actually, we have a few Agendas products already in the making, so
that's cool.
That should go pretty well. But yeah, I mean, the most has been 400, 300. I've done films for about, The Mile Apart was just $10, I think, because we filmed that basically in 2 days.
Oh, okay.
And of course, when you're on a hiking trip, you don't really got to pay for anything. The beauty of just going outside and exploring the woods and stuff like that.
I think another cool thing too, with at least for which I've experienced in college, and I'm assuming that this is what you experienced with working with all these actors, is that you probably don't have to pay them. I'm assuming, right? Like,
no,
they all want the experience, and
they all want the experience
out there as well.
They all want the experience. They're all volunteers, and most importantly, you know, the great thing is, and this is something I'm going to say with pride, and I'm not meaning to blow or anything like that, or gloat. Blow is not the right word. Gloat is the right word. Anyways, when people look at the product you're putting out, because even Memory of Lies and Visions of Truth, Visions of Truth was a complete bomb on my YouTube, but the visuals in it, people are like, man, this is really cool. And that's what got people like Jimmy excited about it. And they're like, man, you're putting out good stuff. I just want to be a part of it because it's going to turn out great.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people, when they see the quality you're putting out, you're going to get people left and right, whether you're paying them or not. Because they're just like, man, I want to do something that's cool.
Definitely. I mean, like, obviously from Memory of Lies all the way up until it was, Fight for me was the last big one, right?
Yep. And then we have...
you could easily see there's definitely a very great upward progression there.
We're working on North Strand right now, which is pretty cool because we actually, when all is said and done with, if we get the ban lifted for the coronavirus here, I actually have somebody that is going to allow us to use a helicopter.
Oh, really?
So we're going to actually film in a helicopter.
Get some like aerial shots in there, or like someone in the helicopter?
It's not going to leave the ground. We are going to use green. Yeah, no, we're going to use we're going to use green screen because there's a big action scene where people are going to be falling out of the helicopter, and we're not going to do that. Right. You know.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my early filmmaking experiences with Memory of Lies.